This video is sponsored by The Walking Dead Match 3 Tales, but more on that in just a moment.
Cheating means different things to different players, and for most people, if you're not doing it in an online multiplayer type setting, it's kind of all good. I mean, no one really minds what you're doing in your own single-player walled-off experience. It's all in good fun, right? All the same, the sheer pervasiveness of cheating in games has forced developers to get smart and devise some truly mesmerizing means to punish and defend their games against cheaters. Following up on our previous list on the subject, here comes another 10 games which did something truly unique, creative, and perhaps even hilarious while battling cheaters of all kinds. I'm Jess from What Culture, and here are 10 more genius ways video games fought cheaters. Number 10. The nude cheat makes Lara explode instead. Tomb Raider 2. In the case of the Tomb Raider franchise, developers' core design weren't so much bothered about players cheating to beat the original game. They included cheat codes in it after all, but rather their dogged fascination with a mythic nude cheat. After the first Tomb Raider game took the world by storm in 1996, legends started to spread that there was indeed a cheat code where you could see Lara Croft sans clothing. Without any such cheat being uncovered though, modders took matters into their own hands, creating a Nude Raider patch for the PC version of the game, which indeed allowed players to run around as Lara in the buff. Core Design weren't particularly thrilled about this, and so devised a novel solution of sorts, trolling the hell out of anyone trying to input the supposed nude cheat in Tomb Raider 2. Word quickly did the rounds, as probably spread by the devs themselves, that the sequel did include and accept the nude cheat. It was even printed in a bunch of gaming magazines at the time. But the twist? Inputting the sequence instead resulted in Lara spontaneously exploding in mid-air, effectively flipping the bird to thirsty players in hilariously tongue-in-cheek fashion. Number 9. Cheaters are put on trial and pelted with tomatoes. RuneScape. In 2012, more than a decade after MMORPG RuneScape released, developers Jagex released a new area in the game called Botany Bay. It was effectively a prison where players caught using bots and hacks to automate play were put on trial in front of an assembled crowd of their human peers. The Bot Finder General would give the offending player a scathing verbal dressing down, all while they're pelted with rotten tomatoes by players, before the General finds them guilty and asks all players present to vote on their fate. The possible outcomes would include being crushed from above, eaten by a worm, or incinerated. The first time a player is caught botting, they'll receive a 24-hour ban, followed by a 48-hour ban on a second offense, and on their third infraction, they'll be permanently banned. That's pretty damn fair, honestly, giving transgressive players 3 opportunities to get on the straight and narrow before casting them into the digital abyss.
Calling all true Walking Dead fans, this video is brought to you by The Walking Dead Match 3 Tales, a new puzzle RPG for iOS and Android directly based on the critically acclaimed comic book series The Walking Dead. The Walking Dead Match 3 Tales is the first puzzle game based on the Walking Dead IP, delivering immersive storytelling through cutscenes, a gorgeous art style, and intense tactile gameplay. With voice acting, rewarding progression, upgradable skills, base building, and battles, collect all your favourite characters from The Walking Dead and truly get immersed in reliving that incredible original comic book run. The game looks great with a wonderful balance between colourful tile matching and gruesome walker kills when you pull off each character's special move. Get involved now by clicking the link in the description and visiting The Walking Dead Match 3 Tales on Instagram to win a complete signed 20th anniversary set of The Walking Dead comics in the game's first ever must-take-part community events. Solve to survive with The Walking Dead Match 3 Tales.
Number 8. The Taxman comes after money cheaters. The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. In our previous list, we told you how developers Set Up Projekt Red released the Bovine Defense Force initiative to try and combat players using a glitch in The Witcher 3. But the developer truly outdid themselves when it came to broadly dealing with anyone using money cheats to get ahead. With the release of the Hearts of Stone expansion a few months after the main game, players who amassed a certain amount of currency, a figure most certainly achieved by cheating, would be approached by Walthamore Mitty, Deputy Tax Enumerator, who needs answers for your inexplicably accrued wealth. Mitty will grill you about whether you engaged in illicit sales of hides and pearls through exploits, and if you deny taking part, he'll deem you in good standing. If you're honest, dumb, or curious enough to fess up, though, he'll slap you with a fine to deal with your misgivings. While this is ultimately more of a funny nod towards players abusing The Witcher 3's various money exploits, it's still a totally ingenious way for CD Projekt Red to both acknowledge their own mistakes and gently chide players for being so damn greedy. Number 7. Barbatos destroys you if you try to auto-level. Tales of Destiny Director's Cut. Granted, grinding is not the most invigorating activity you can do in any video game, so it's hard to ding players who decide to get involved in it in order to press themselves higher up in levels. In the original release of the PS2 remake of RPG Tales of Destiny, players discovered they could auto-level their party by simply setting all the characters to auto and tapping one of the controller's analog sticks down, causing them to run around the map in circles and continually fight random battles. But for the 2008 Director's Cut, Namco Tales Studios came up with a brilliantly devious solution that would stop players from fully automating the leveling process. One that's tough not to respect, honestly. After 20 minutes of automated play, the villain of the game, Barbatos, will rock up and say, "What are you fools running in circles for?" before initiating a battle. Now, the ultra-powerful Barbatos also makes it clear that the only way to survive the fight is to flee, but if you're letting the game level up so idly, you obviously won't be around to see the message. And so Barbatos will wipe the damn floor with your party in record time, causing a game over and preventing the player from auto-leveling. Hell, the game over screen is even preceded by a patronizing message saying the game heroes were never heard of again. Ouch. It's so simple to just monitor the player's inputs and yet so clever. As annoying as it might be for a developer to inhibit grinding, the execution is cool enough here to make it mostly forgivable. Number 6. The crowd throws cheese at you for cheesing Tiny Tiger. Crash Bandicoot 3 Warped. If you're familiar with the original release of Crash Bandicoot 3, then you might remember there's a pretty popular method for cheesing the Tiny Tiger boss fight in the Colosseum. If you run to the top left corner of the screen, you can easily avoid the fleets of lions which periodically come stampeding out the top of the arena. It's a well-known exploit, basically a cheat, which makes it considerably easier to deal with Tiny without having to worry about dodging those pesky rampaging lions. For 2017's Insane Trilogy, however, most players expected to just be able to abuse the cheat again consequence-free, but they got a rather hilarious surprise as a result. Going to the top left corner this time results in the Colosseum's patrons hurling giant chunks of cheese at you. As in, you're cheesing the boss. Get it? Granted, in this case, the remaster's developers, Vicarious Visions, were clearly just having some fun with fans, because they could have easily removed the exploit if they wanted. Instead, they did let players cheat away while gently ribbing them for doing so. Number 5. Support characters guilt trip you during battle. Persona 3. If all else fails, there's always the solution of straight up guilt tripping players and making the act of cheating so annoying they just might want to stop doing it. And so we have Persona 3, which had a bizarre yet brilliant surprise for players who used cheats to access party members or personas who weren't yet legitimately available. Prolonged complaints from your support characters. You'll likely hear the likes of Mitsuru and Fuka say things like, "You're cheating, I'll have to punish you. I trusted you, I can't believe you cheated. I'm very disappointed in you. Cheaters never win," and "You're cheating." Other than this, the game doesn't do anything to prevent you from hacking away to your heart's content, but after a good while of listening to your buddies chide you for being a dirty little cheat, it might actually start to get to you. When nothing else works, psychological warfare it is. Number 4. A fan made fake cheats to troll cheaters. Counter-Strike Global Offensive. When developers can't seem to stem the tide of cheating themselves, leave it to dedicated players with time on their hands to get to work instead. Counter-Strike Global Offensive's cheating epidemic apparently became too much for YouTuber ScriptKid, who in 2020 gained a reputation for creating fake cheating software to entrap, embarrass, and ultimately disable cheaters. In an impressively dedicated ruse, ScriptKid created some bogus software and paid out of his own pocket to advertise it on Google, ensuring that cheating players looking for some new hacks would download it. But ScriptKid's program would instead hijack the cheater's game and wreak havoc with a series of punishments. These included forcing the player to throw a flashbang or grenade at their own feet, auto-shooting on their teammates, shooting at the ceiling, and so on. Basically, the goal was to clearly ruin the cheaters' experience and render them a laughingstock, or make them even enough of an annoyance that they get kicked by players for actually wanting to play the game properly. Genius. Number 3, the God of Death, Doom, publicly erases cheaters from existence. Guild Wars. We've previously detailed how Guild Wars 2 dealt with one especially egregious cheater by hijacking his account, stripping him naked, killing him, and then deleting his account before posting the video online for players to savor. But the original game was no slouch in the punishment department either, with an equally theatrical method of dealing with cheaters by straight up cutting them down in front of the rest of the server. Developers ArenaNet released an update in 2010 which would cause any flagged cheaters to be suddenly confronted by Doom, the game's God of Death, who with one swing of his scythe insta-kills the offending player, resulting in their accounts either being suspended or permanently banned. To see this happening while going about your business in Guild Wars was certainly unexpected and amazing, and a reminder of what cheating might cost you. Number 2, controller inputs are disabled if you use auto-fire. Metal Gear Solid. Late in the original Metal Gear Solid, Solid Snake is captured by Revolver Ocelot and strapped into an electroshock torture rack, as the player is forced to button mash their way through a series of increasingly difficult sequences intended to test their nimbleness. If you can't button mash hard enough to keep Snake's life bar filled until the timer runs out, then you submit to the torture, resulting in Meryl's death at the end of the game. Before the torture starts though, Ocelot makes a point of telling you, don't even try using auto-fire, I'll know. In the quaint meta-averse gaming era of 1998, it was positively surreal to hear a game's villain break the fourth wall and tell the player that using an unofficial controller with auto-fire capability, in turn completely trivializing button mashing, wouldn't work well for them. And this wasn't merely an empty threat which Hideo Kojima placed in the game to deter cheating. He did indeed have the sequence programmed to recognize auto-fire controllers that were firing above a certain inputs per second rate. If the game recognizes an auto-fire controller, it'll suddenly kill the player's inputs entirely, and even when the torture timer hits 0, the electrocution continues until Snake dies, triggering a game over. You gotta admit, it's a very Hideo Kojima way of getting one over on cheaters, that's for sure. Number 1, using the Doom cheat codes gives the opposite effect. Heretic. Now, in fairness to id Software, it's clear from their history they're not exactly against cheaters, they just like poking a little fun at them. Case in point, we have Heretic, an authorized Doom clone with a fantasy sheen that was released just a year after Doom, and one which had a surprise in store for anyone who attempted to reuse the legendary FPS's cheat codes. In Doom, entering IDDQD would grant the player God mode, but doing it in Heretic hilariously had the exact opposite effect. You'd instantly drop dead on the spot in a pile of gore. To add insult to injury, a message would appear at the top of the screen that read, "Trying to cheat, huh? Now you die." That's not the only one though. Type in Doom's code to unlock all weapons, ammo, and keys, IDKFA, and you'll lose all weapons and ammo except for your staff, with another taunting message telling you, "Cheater, you don't deserve weapons." To actually activate God mode and unlock all weapons and ammo, you had to seek out different cheat codes specific to Heretic, rather than just expecting to recycle Dooms. If nothing else, this felt like Raven Software was clapping back against people saying that Heretic was just a Doom clone, straight down to not using the same cheat codes. That's the end of our list, but let me know down in that comment section if you know of any other genius ways that video games fought cheaters. As always, I've been Jess from What Culture. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. If you like, you can come say hi to me on my Twitter account where I'm at Jess McDonald, but make sure you stay tuned to us here for plenty more great gaming lists.